does not look nearly as good as it did in my bathroom mirror. So this is a disclaimer. These stories are for entertainment purposes only. I titled this Kentucky True Legends because at first I was looking up urban legends, which is what I believe I posted. I would be doing this about like cryptids or urban legends. And I found so many things to talk about. And in my opinion, what I gathered for this live were some of the most interesting stories. I'm sorry about that noise. And I wanted to share good groups of stories together. Like I'm going to have this one that is, I'm sure we'll have more too. Kentucky legends, meaning true stories. And then we'll have like cryptids. And then we'll have a different one that will be just of hauntings, like haunted places, things. There's a lot of like bridges and what have you, just places. And as well as supposed ghost hauntings. We'll do separate ones for other stories. Kentucky is so full of history, you guys. If you do not know. So that looks like it's not even, it's mathematics. Somebody's spamming mathematics. That's funny. Okay. Definitely not for me. I'm so bad at math. So let's get started. Okay. I guess I did want to say this. So many channels right now are AI involved. Especially, I like to listen to historical channels popping up all the and I found that if it's AI at the beginning, it likely says, leave a comment and let us know where you are at, like where you are listening from. Every single one lately, it opens up asking people to comment their location. I thought that was really interesting. It's just maybe another good way to suss them out. I personally want to stop trying to support AI as much as possible. I have not used it for anything. Okay, I did do one thing, but I didn't upload it. But I used this edit where they took my voice and made like an AI voice out of it, which was kind of interesting. Like I just said a few sentences and then I wrote a script, and with those few sentences it got, to make like a little robot voice out of my voice, which was convenient. But the electricity, like the resources that AI uses, number one, what I'm against. And then like the creativity that more. I just think it's awful that like AI is being used and promoted and like it's the way of the future, whatever. I think it's like taking so much from people, and we need to be able to critically think for ourselves. We can't just type a question in and get an answer. Like critical thinking is a skill that people need to be able to have. Hi, Juan. Hi, everybody. So I'm going to get through my notes, and usually I do a lot more talking after that. So I'm sorry if I miss anybody in the chat. And I really do appreciate even the troll comments because it's what helps me get like 10 to 20,000 views sometimes on my live. So I'm not going to bother trying to moderate. Oh, I've got a lot of people that just came in. So I have 5 stories gathered today. And I want to start by saying Kentucky is the only state that's surrounded by rivers on 3 sides. In my opinion, energetically, that makes it special, as well as being on top of what is known as the world's largest cave system, full of things like quartz, which is, it's not a conductor, but at the same time, it is, I don't know how to pronounce this, piezoelectric. It can create electricity with physical force added to it. And in my opinion, ancient people might have even known how to use sources like that. And this too, and allegedly might be what ancient Egyptians knew how to use for the pyramids. It was capped with things, limestone, and then capped with granite or some other kind of limestone or whatever. And they knew how to make these things like giant batteries, essentially. And I feel like there might be a lot of portals perhaps. And I say all this really loosely. Like I have no idea. I don't believe anything 100%. I'm not God, but I think that there's so many possibilities. And yes, for ever since Daniel Boone's time, they've talked about hillbilly monsters, like what a lot of people call Sasquatch, Bigfoot, the skunk ape down in Florida, down south. But it's kind of undeniable when you hear the same thing said so many ways in so many areas. Like clearly in mountainous terrain, often there are these creatures. And the number one thing that comes with rebuttal is, where are their bodies? Why aren't there more proof of them than just the sightings? And I think that them going back and forth in portals might be an explanation for that. They might be some kind of interdimensional beings that can go back and forth between other realities, dimensions, what have you. However, I don't know. Once again, I'm not God. But I also believe I've heard a few stories because I like Dixie Cryptid. I'm really into Bigfoot stories myself. I used to listen to them a lot more. It's just like I kind of saturated myself with them. And they have quite a few stories where somebody did supposedly KILL one, and then other ones came out of the woods and grabbed the body. So, like, perhaps that's part of also why we don't see the bodies. Maybe they're intelligent enough to take care of their passed on loved ones. So, once again, I'll pay more attention to the chat when I'm done. I haven't even really started. And I want to reiterate, I am going to make separate videos like Kentucky cryptids, Kentucky hauntings. These are true, I know it's kind of oxymoron, true legends. These are stories that really took place that have been verified in many different ways. And we're going to start off with something called the Kentucky meat shower that happened on March 3rd, 1876 in Olympia, Kentucky. I'm sorry, Olympia Springs, Kentucky. On Alan Crouch's farm, his wife was outside making soap, and she was the first one who noticed chunks of meat raining from the sky, what they took to be flesh or meat, about 2 inches or the size of most of them. And some people, at least one, perhaps two people, taste tested this and said it tasted like mutton, which is lamb, if you don't know, or venison, which is deer. And they took several samples and sent them off to scientists. From what I gathered, eight. I'm sure there might have been more or less, but one scientist in particular said that it could have been human infant tissue, but that was just one source. All the other ones didn't say anything about human being involved. A lot said horse lung tissue and cartilage, some other like human tissue. And I think that's really interesting. They actually still have a sample that just got put back in a little museum they have in Olympia Springs or near Olympia Springs, Kentucky, that was somewhere else. And then they got it back. Real big piece of their town's history, obviously. And the most popular theory is that a bunch of vultures flew overhead and vomited all at once, which I mean, that is the best theory, but it's still not really a very plausible one at that. And this it was just over one field on this one man's farm. It really crazy. And there's quite enough of it, enough that people made a big deal out of this. And okay, we're moving along quickly. So I ordered these kind of chronologically, but I also feel like in the area of interest personally for myself. But these people, I don't know exactly how long they've been around, excuse me. The blue people of Kentucky, if you haven't heard of them, there's people with blue skin, like legit blue skin. This family, the Fugates, were notorious for having blue skin. And it turns out they had a rare genetic blood disorder called methemoglobinemia. I'm sure I didn't say that right. And it only not only affects your skin, it can affect your heart and cause seizure disorders, unfortunately. They were from near the mountains, and like that old trope you hear of inbreeding, and like a part of it was if you didn't live near a railroad, or that was a main form of transportation, then yeah, you were more likely to have babies with people that you were probably more closely related to, maybe than you should have been. So now, since people have dispersed more, there are less people that have this disorder, especially in that concentrated area. There's one guy, this older man with white hair that was on Maury or some talk show like that. He gets thrown around a lot as one of these blue people who's super blue. He actually just took too much colloidal silver. And he's not one of the blue Fugate people from Kentucky with this rare genetic blood disorder. I thought it was really interesting. It wasn't that long ago, a hematologist from the University of Kentucky, Mr. Cowan is his name. He was the one who helped them figure out what it was. And now they can take a medication, methylene blue, which will even out their skin and make it look normal if it is tinged blue. And there was a comment, take this with a grain of salt. Somebody said they were a prison guard, and they were in Kentucky about 5 years ago. A man in his 50s had the blue skin here in Kentucky, and it fluctuated during the year, during the seasons. I thought that was interesting. And they also said that when they got cold or angry, they got bluer. So we're moving along to the third story. Maggie Bailey, super interesting woman, you guys. Get ready for this. She's from Harlan County, Kentucky, born in 1904. She started selling her daddy's recipe of moonshine which was said to be so strong that it made men hallucinate. She started assisting her father in making this when she was only 12 years old. That time, she also stopped going to school. So she was only educated until 12, but she was a super smart woman, as you will see. And at the age of 17, she procured a business loan in order to start really making this like high production. This was during Prohibition. And she felt almost more secure as a woman because, like, and she herself wouldn't even sell to women. It was just like she felt like she was less likely to have anybody come searching her or anything since she was just this little old woman. Even after Prohibition, her business continued to flourish, and she would sell the legal stuff as well as the bootleg stuff that a lot of people still preferred. Many sources say she was the first woman to obtain a liquor license, but I cannot figure out if she was the first woman in our country to obtain a liquor license or if she was the first woman in the state of Kentucky to obtain a liquor license. I can't figure that out. So if anybody does know that, I'd be really interested in knowing. And she eventually got caught selling the bootleg stuff and went to prison, I believe, for 2.5 years. She got out and started all over again. She knew exactly what she wanted to do. She had intention. She left a suitcase with $80,000 at a relative's house. It was still all there when she got out of prison. And during her time in prison, she educated herself so thoroughly on the Fourth Amendment. She made herself an expert in the laws of search and seizure. And also, after getting out of prison, probably before, I'm sure, but she was like such a pillar of her community. She helped people's kids go to college. I don't think she ever had children of her own. And she just helped so many people. If anybody needed anything, they could go to her and she would help her with them. So even if she did end up in court with some evidence against her, like the jury would never convict her. She got arrested 114 times and was only convicted that one time that sent her to prison for 2.5 years. She continued to sell bootleg moonshine until she was 95 years old. She died when she was 105. Why did I not write down the year? I'm so sorry. It was 101, so it was 2005. Maybe, probably 2005, depending on when exactly her birthday is. So that was Miss Maggie Bailey. I just thought that that was the neatest story. And of course, I would never encourage anybody to do anything illegal, but I also want to get into, unfortunately, there's not like a lot of information about a lot of the people that are like the witches, the medicine men and women of the hollers, these people that knew all of the plants and helpful medicinal, things, bark, what have you, that were in their immediate region and helped so much. So here is the fourth story. Am I correct? The fourth one? Yes. Kelly Hopkinsville encounter. So Hopkinsville is a pretty big town in Kentucky. I'm taking it Kelly is like one of those little country towns outside of Hopkinsville that like if anybody asked them where they were from, they'd probably say Hopkinsville or right outside of Hopkinsville. Anyways, in 1955, two families, neighbors in Kelly, Kentucky, started to share stories of their experiences with strange visitors from the sky. They said one night around 7, one of them, a man named Billy, who stopped talking soon after this. Like back then, imagine 1955. Like if you started talking about seeing what was a lot of people would call aliens, people would think you were certifiable. Automatically, you would lose your good reputation. And so one night, a man named Billy at around 7 p.m. went to get a drink from the well. And just so everybody knows, like none of these people drank. Alcohol wasn't allowed in their houses. They were just like, I don't know if the county was dry, but there's a lot of dry counties in Kentucky to this day, meaning they don't even sell alcohol. And that doesn't mean that people that live there don't drink it, but it's just like one thing that they verified, like none of these people were under the influence of that or anything, supposedly. He claims he saw a bright silver saucer-shaped object in the air, and then it stopped over a neighbor's field and slowly lowered down to the point where he couldn't see it anymore. So, of course, he went inside and told everybody inside what he saw. Of course, they didn't believe him, right? But within an hour, a dog started going off. So they opened the door. The dog has its tail between its legs. I guess the dog was outside because it made it sound like the dog, retreated. And they immediately saw little creatures, never seeing more than two at once, though. But it sounds like they saw a lot. I just thought that was interesting, never more than two at once. They described them to be about 3 feet tall with large round heads, no neck seemingly, large ears, eyes that glowed yellow. They inspired many creatures. And like if you saw the depictions, you'd immediately think the Gremlins. If you're aware of that movie from, what was that, the late 80s, they inspired the Gremlins as well as many other fictional characters. They had long arms almost touching the ground. and were silver in color. First one that they saw approached them and they shot at it and it like flipped backwards in the air. And then another one, they flipped back as well, this second one. And they went to see if one of them perished, like whichever one was near to them, I guess. And they noticed more. They see, once again, no more than two at a time. I just thought that was interesting for some reason. They see one in a tree, and at first they're like shooting at it. They see one on a roof. They do this for 3 more hours. They did end up going in their house at one point and stopped shooting at them, but they still knew that they were all over their house, all over their yard. However, they were avoiding lights. Like they wouldn't get in the lights that were cast from the windows or whatever porch light they had outside. They went to the police and they did a little investigation. Kentucky State Police even got involved and military, they like came, they didn't find anything. They did find one little spot of what they called bioluminescence fungi or something, but since they were glowing so much glowing was described when it came to these little creatures. I thought that was interesting that something might have been left behind. So these families did not make any money. They actually didn't like all the attention that they got. That one man that spoke out at first, he stopped talking. Only two people out of the two families were talking at all at a certain point. Of course, our government denied that any of this was valid. And it is really interesting to think about now that they're so open with it. In my lifetime, they've totally flip-flopped. Like even in the 90s, and you watch certain shows, it's like you would have to think somebody was crazy to believe in their encounter with aliens. I guess our government hasn't officially confirmed that there are such thing as alien abductions or encounters in that way, but they've definitely confirmed more than I ever thought that they would in our lifetime. That like you used to be automatically assumed to be crazy, but now and think about all the people that did experience things that we'll never know about because they wouldn't put their neck out there and say anything about it. And I don't blame them either, but it's just something to think about. Isabel Davis was an investigator with civilian saucer intelligence. Once again, somebody so ahead of their time. Like, I respect people like this so much. A woman, especially in that day and age, that's like speaking out about something that a lot of people will think you are crazy, but you also know you're going to help a lot of people. She did the most thorough investigation. She even obtained Air Force documents that disclosed that the Air Force, well, of course, the Air Force is going to say they didn't believe in the saucer incidents, but the Air Force didn't really look into it until they saw she was looking into it, trying to get documents, is what it said. She published Close Encounter at Kelly and Others of 1955. It's a book, probably the best account of this, the most thorough research. Okay. Opportunities for gaslighting I don't want to say too much, and like this is all allegedly, supposedly my opinion, but this case really shows how we can be gaslit and how a whole society can be conditioned to believe something, to act a certain way when something happens, to doubt that they saw something, even if it was right in front of them, to doubt their own instincts. And that really plays into a lot of the downfall of what is going on right now. I am on my last story, and then I promise I will get in the chat and we will talk. And did I just see Mr. Carey? Mr. Carey, are you in here? I didn't see you in here, but Mr. Carey, if you're in here and you want to post your Cash App, and I will pin it. We have a family in need, Mr. Carey. If anybody is feeling in a charitable mood and wants money to go directly to somebody that really needs it, like if you trust me and Mr. Carey, I think you can trust me. Like they are a family in need. I'd appreciate it if you have any extra money you want to shoot anybody's way for it to go to them. This last story is like, I feel bad that it's called a legend, but I want to explain who I'm really considering legendary in the story thoroughly to. Hi, Catherine. This is organ donation gone wrong. In Richmond, Kentucky, on October 25th, 2021, TJ Hoover suffered cardiac arrest due to an overdose. Okay, let me pin this real quick. Once again, I'm pinning a Cash App of a family that is in need right now. If anybody wants to donate to them, every little bit helps. And okay, let's start over. In Richmond, Kentucky, on October 25th, 2021, TJ Hoover suffered cardiac arrest due to an overdose and was admitted to the hospital. Not sure if he was 36 at the time or 36 9 months ago, because all these news stories, this news story from 9 months ago said he was 36, and I couldn't tell if they mean like now or then. So he's middle aged, and he was placed on life support. For 2 days, they tested his organs because he was a registered organ donor. And after 2 days, his family decided to take him off of life support. This is October 27th. During his honor walk, this is when, oh, and I want to make a disclaimer, this is not medical advice, okay? Like, I can't stress that enough. I have seen some of the most beautiful stories and like things come out of organ donation. So I myself don't ever want to be a part of making anybody's decision for them or helping them when it comes to this. I think it's a good thing that people spoke out, and I'm not surprised that this happened in this great Commonwealth of Kentucky, that there's people with enough balls to try to change what's obviously wrong. So he was doing his honor walk. This is the last walk where they wheel the person down who's getting ready to donate their organs in their bed, and employees of the hospital, family, friends, loved ones wish them well on their final transition. And they like his sister saw his eyes move, and she said they were tracking, and they were like, oh, that's just normal. But like she even thought like, but she could tell like they were, the way they were looking wasn't just some reflex. So apparently, in the operating room afterwards, he was pushing hands away, trying to pull the tube out of his throat, was trying to refuse to be draped. The doctor stops and goes and tells his sister he's not ready. He woke up. His sister only recently found out, like in January of this year, those details I just told you, that he's trying to pull the tube out and pushing people away. Like she only recently found out those details. It's just like, really think about it. This is this is why some people, and once again, I don't want to be a part of it, but this is why some people don't trust medical professionals at all. This is why it's always best, God willing, like if you have an issue, like you have an advocate with you, you have somebody that loves you there with you more than the medical professionals. Okay, they don't love you like your family or friend. I'm not saying they're all bad people, but how many times did he have to show signs of life to how many people before they were like, okay, like we can't deal with this? And I have to think this, I have to go there. I'm sorry, I have bad anxiety, intrusive thoughts, all that jazz. Like, how many people did one of those things and they all just kind of like, how many times before? And they're like, oh, well, we're going to make a pretty penny off this because obviously, like, that's what it all boils down to, right? Of course. And um, there was a woman, and this is who I consider the legend. The sister, of course, TJ, bless his heart, he's still alive. The doctors, he lived. The doctor said he'll live for a year or less. His sister's still taking care of him. I'm sure, no doubt in my mind, that her care is what has brought him so far. And he can communicate a little bit, like he's not, which is nice, like he was answering their questions and everything, but he's definitely disabled. And his sister is such a beautiful person. And it was because of her and a woman, Nicoletta Martin. She works for Coda, and it wasn't Nicoletta, but Nicoletta said somebody else who works for Coda called somebody higher up and said, this is what's going on. This man woke up and we can't do this. And the Coda admin said, you will find another surgeon to complete this case. Because that's what these people that make way too much money doing what they do think about human lives. They have to, because how else could they allow these things to happen that happen, especially in the healthcare industry? This case, how sick. And so it was because of Nicoletta Martin speaking out and Donna Rohrer, his sister. It was because these ladies had the guts to stand up and say, this happened, this was wrong. There's been a federal investigation opened. As of just 2 weeks ago, there was a hearing in our Congress. And because of this case, because of their advocacy, we're looking at federal laws being changed for these organ procurement organizations. They call them OPOs. They have very little guidelines compared to what they should, in my opinion, obviously. And I can't help but think how many people were, overdosed, how many people were homeless, destitute, how many people didn't have an advocate with them, how many people have been through this, but they didn't make it all the way through this, and we didn't get to hear the whole story. And I have heard like horror stories before, which was just a conspiracy theory. It's a conspiracy theory to think that like you might be alive when they do that, because like they ideally don't really want to like put you to sleep. And anyways, 3 months of data has shown 20% of organ donations that go to the OR in Kentucky are stopped in the OR. They go all the way up to the OR. This person is ready. Like, a lot of times they test their organs for a day or two. This person is ready. They're in the OR, and then they're showing too many signs of life. 20% of the time, 2 out of 10 people. People need to know this. And of course, if me or my loved one needed an organ, I would not want people to be scared and like shy away from ever donating organs ever again. But it's all about informed consent, something that is truly lacking in our medical system. With literally everything they push on us, informed consent is not there. They tell us it's a chemical imbalance. This is how you correct it with your antidepressants, your anti-anxiety. It's like, show me the chemical imbalance. What exact chemical imbalance are you talking about? Can you show me before and after? No, you can't, because it's not true all the time, at least, you know? And there's just so many examples we could talk about all night. TJ, who was once an avid outdoorsman, I already said this, I'm sorry. He was given a year to live, and he now lives with his sister over 3 years later and is doing well. I just couldn't believe that 20% of the time. And 2 weeks ago, a man named Dr. Lynch, he's a surgeon himself, he was at one of those hearings and said it's not infrequent that something comes up around the donor and whether or not the donor is dead. It's not infrequent that something comes up around the donor and whether or not the donor is dead, says the surgeon. And I just thought it was so beautiful that his sister Donna, she compared her story to David and Goliath and said, who am I to go against the medical system? And like, we've been there, like, of course, not in such a big way, I don't think so, but a lot of us can empathize with that. That's how it feels every single time, right? You have to make an appeal every time you get screwed over. So it's just important to advocate for your loved ones. It's tough, especially you don't want to like step on any toes. I saw this video the other day where this person was at a specialist and their doctor was using Chat GPT, asking Chat GPT a question. And I've been saying this for a while now. They talk about AI taking over like, the simple jobs, but I think they're going to take over a lot of what we consider more complex jobs sooner. Like, how difficult would it be to put somebody's blood work, their vitals, all their tests into a system and make software to read that? Because that's basically what doctors do. They don't believe anything you say, or at least as a woman, they don't like believe anything you say, especially, and even the female doctors. So once again, I think Kentucky is a really super special place. There's, in my opinion, there is a lot of energy in. We are walking batteries. Our earth is alive. And that's one of the reasons why, especially the mountains, we live in what is considered like the foothills of Appalachia. There is something really special. You definitely never feel alone. And I feel like, of course, that's not going to play into the organ donation thing. But I wanted to bring them up as legends because I think that shows a lot of heart what his sister and that woman, Nicoletta Martin, did. Neither of them had to do that, you know. A lot of people would choose not to go through the stress and just forget about it, right? And move on. Or probably like, I hope they already got a pretty penny from the hospital, you know. I'm hoping they're living well because they already got like plenty of help because they should. So I can't believe I already got through my 5 stories. I was like, oh my gosh, these are so many notes. But like, yeah. I hope you guys thought that was fun. And I want to reiterate, I'm going to do a separate one that's like Kentucky cryptids, like Kentucky haunted places. There was a bonus story I had because I'm like, it's Kentucky, but it's not. So I think maybe I'll do the bonus story. Oh, good night, Nicholas, if you're saying bye. Okay. Okay, Mr. Carey, I will check as soon as I get off of here. Okay, so I don't know how many of you have heard of the cocaine bear before, but I didn't really know the thorough story before. There was a man named Andrew Carter Thornton, who is a Kentucky native. He became a cop in Lexington. And actually, while he was a cop in the narcotics department, he was going to law school and got his law degree. And this whole time, he was teetering on both good and bad side of the law. Like, he was smuggling rugs. He even like flew a plane and So one time with 900 pounds of, let's call it snow. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's because I can't say it because of YouTube. Um, it rhymes with Rogaine. It's a rug people snort up their nose. With 900 pounds of that in their plane, they heard over the radio that the FBI might have been following them and they had parachutes. So, like, his buddy, who was also his bodyguard, the only other person with him, jumps off in his parachute, lands fine. But for whatever reason, Andrew wanted to strap 100 pounds of the snow on him. And people speculate that's why his landing didn't go as well. His parachute wrapped around him. He landed in somebody's driveway and perished. And that was around the Georgia-Tennessee border and where they dumped the snow and jumped. Yes. Andrew, okay, I just said that. He passed away. And in 1985, a hunter in Georgia reportedly found a 175-pound bear unalived because it had ate snow, and there was several packages of it around him. They usually put flour, baking soda, something in it. It's called cutting, if you aren't aware of that. And that's why they speculate the bear ate so much of it. They took this bear and taxidermied it, and now it's in Kentucky for Kentucky Fun Mall, which is a place, I believe it's up by Lexington. That is a place that's on my list to go for sure. And for whatever reason, people love this cocaine bear story a lot. It's just really funny to me how we celebrate criminals like after the fact, like, like during the crime. It's not this great thing. But yeah, I was like researching that and I just assumed like it actually all, because you hear about it a lot here, or I have. I thought that that bear was like in Kentucky when it ate the snow and passed away, but apparently not. Like that happened in Georgia and Tennessee. But yeah, the guy is from Kentucky, so that's why the bear ended up in here. I am Lydia and I am from Kentucky. Hi, Mark. I live in Kentucky now. I've lived in Indiana, California, and Florida as well. So I like to say I've lived on both coasts of our nation. I don't consider myself a medium. I do think most people have psychic abilities and you can hone those. And I feel like I have been listening to my intuition better and I'm like I mean it, you guys. I know when there's like a speed trap and stuff like that, if you don't deny yourself. Anything that I missed? I'm sorry to be, I don't like being quiet. Catherine, I think it's because I put this on, it's for 18 and up. And I didn't say for adult audiences only when in my disclaimer, but most of my chats do get pretty adult. So, yes. Okay. So there was oh, hey, John, how are you? Yes, it's a superpower when it works. And other things, like I just always have a strong intuition. Like I had a feeling not to ask a new woman, if she had any children, because she asked me, and I was like, "Don't ask her, don't ask her." And then, like later during the conversation, it came out she did suffer a miscarriage a year ago, and I just had that whoosh. And like the more you acknowledge it, and are like, "Yeah, I knew that," like the more you it's like making a muscle stronger, in my opinion. You're welcome, Mark. Thank you. That's nice. And there's so many. How many fingers are you holding up? I wish I could, I mean, I'd be trying to win the lottery if I was like that kind of psychic. There's so many neat stories in Kentucky, and a lot of it, like I started to say, it's like the energy, in my opinion, of the natural topography, all the water carries with it a lot of energy. And I'm not one of those people that sits around and like makes grids with my crystals and like cleanses my crystals. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But like I definitely do believe in the power of certain rocks, minerals, and they put these things in electronics. If people want to like say that that's like new age or wishy-washy, but they use quartz, they use copper in electronics for good reason. And there's such an abundance of so much of those things here in Kentucky, like so much limestone. That's what makes these cave systems, basically. A lot of it is the limestone is so porous. And I think that on top of our history, where there have always been really rough people because of the mountains, especially in the eastern half of the state, there's always been people that were very isolated. Some of the poorest people in our country are in Appalachia. And so this makes for like really tough, rugged, uh, the kind of like the opposite of what everybody complains about when they complain about people now, like spoiled people that don't think of others and don't wanna work hard, like, that's the opposite of what really poor people and of course, the rugs came over, the coal industry, one of the only ways to make money was yanked out of people's lives, and then rugs took over. And, in my opinion, just like in the bad parts of cities with the rack epidemic, I think the math epidemic, I'm sorry, I don't like the code words either, but I believe that might have been, if not done on purpose, it was definitely encouraged a lot in whatever way it could be to a certain point, and it really the destruction of so much. Mhm. Um, and I'm really trying hard to stop saying, I've noticed that whenever I do rewatch my videos, I say too much. Hey Yoder, how are you feeling right now? Right at this moment. I discussed the 5 stories I had. They were like true stories. And I didn't do what I said I was going to do, like urban legends or cryptids. I am definitely going to do that one day though. But yeah, I decided to do I mean, we're gonna have, like, dozens of videos in this series, so I do wanna talk to you guys a little bit longer, but I'm probably gonna get off of here within the hour, I should say. Gosh, I'm so sorry. There's so many, like, haunted places that would be easy to go to that like, I think the haunted places would be, like, more fun to show you guys than to just talk about, because a lot of them are free. So you were listening, Yoder? I don't know how long you've been here. If you're interested in any of the stories that I told at all. But I my favorite was Maggie Bailey, just hearing about this woman that got arrested 114 times, but was only convicted once. And yeah, like I said, a lot of it was the community, her peers, like the people loved her so much they wouldn't convict her when they were on the jury, even if there was evidence. But I think a lot of it had to do with like, you know, I don't think I'm gonna go live again tonight. Tonight. Hi, Alan. How are you? Um, yeah, Braxton. That sounded wrong. And let me see. Hi, Mr. Froggy. Is there hell? Desmond asked. I don't believe in hell like what the Bible says. Hell it was a construct started by the Bible, Like I do believe that there could be something like it, but I don't believe anybody goes somewhere like that for all of eternity, personally. But I also think it could be a description of like something else that does happen. But yeah, I had a bunch of other things that I had written down. It just I decided to take a break last night because I definitely wasn't feeling it. My hands were hurting really bad. There's some personal stuff going on, and I just want to be as spry as possible when I come on here for you all. But I really do appreciate it, and I am sorry, and I strive not to miss one night because I seriously do like doing this. And we're very low key. We're never outside anyways, unless it involves like having a campfire, grilling food. Like, I don't like being out past dark unless I'm working, of course. But so I'd be inside being cozy anyways, and I love talking to you guys. I already got through my 5 stories, Gnostic, and I don't know if you're interested in scrolling back. I'll just repeat like what the titles of the stories were in case anybody just joined and they don't know if they want to go back and watch it. I talked about the Kentucky meat shower, the blue people of Kentucky, Maggie Bailey, moonshine maker, the Kelly Hopkinsville encounter, which was what most people would say aliens, and an organ donation gone wrong incident. And I call these legends because I believe they're all good examples of either, a legendary, well known story that was really well documented. Like that meat shower might sound crazy, but it really was well documented. They still have one of the pieces of flesh like preserved in alcohol in a jar. But and there's like people who were relatives living, there was a lot of people who were witness to that. I do believe that that happened. And like I said about the organ donation, those women that stood up for that man and all people, and for all of us, really, because any one of us could be affected by this. I've known somebody that had a organ transplant. Like It's, not as uncommon as one might probably think. I work in auto manufacturing on an assembly line. I'm a factory worker, and I talk a work, and, there is a hell you were there. Well, I hope that it's not something that anybody's soul is damned to for eternity because I think people are mostly a product of their environment. My hair is so goofy. I try to do the side pony thing, and I feel like that's why I can't believe that there's purgatory for people that chose not to get baptized because like I just don't believe that the God I believe in wouldn't send somebody especially there, especially for something like being gay. That's all. That's why did he put the G spot for men where it is if he didn't want people to be gay? I'm sorry. It's like it's completely okay if you believe in everything the Bible says because it speaks to you and you really do believe that's God's word. I completely respect that. I mean that. I don't think that you have to believe what I believe, but me personally, I can't say I agree with that. And that's not to say that I think all men should be either. Like it's just like how come on, like, think about it. Like, um, yeah, one of my best friends is gay too, so I definitely don't tolerate any sort of homophobia, racism. We talk about racism a lot here lately, and it's just amazing me. I really didn't think that there was this many racists still in our country. I'm sorry, I get into, like, something serious. We should be having fun. I think Hill is to learn a few lessons you still didn't learn when breathing, Yoder said. Yeah, right. That's what, yes, like when people say they have a life review, I watch a lot of near-death experience stories. I don't know how many of you like that stuff, but hi, Harpreet. There's a lot of near-death experience stories in on YouTube, and a lot of people saying the same things. It's kind of like Sasquatch. It's like when you hear the same thing so many times from so many people, yeah, you could argue that it's they already heard it from somewhere else themselves and they're repeating it, but, there's been a few speckled in there that talk about what seems like hell, a very not pleasant place, and it involves a lot of torturous, I don't know, entities. What if certain principalities had altered, edited modern Bibles, Jay Hardy said. Oh, definitely, for sure. I do think that there lost Bibles, I'm sorry, lost books of the Bible. In my opinion, I think there might have even been like female disciples back in the day, but because of the oppression of women, they like erased a lot of that. Good morning, Shahnaz. I'm so bad at I don't ever want people to think I'm like making fun of their names because I'm so bad at pronouncing. Hi, Vicky. How are you? Um, Richard, are you asking me that about what I'm not gonna say like what I manufacture, you know what I mean? Like what car, what brand. You're a very smart woman. I really do enjoy listening to you if you have many good aspects. Thank you, Mark. That's really nice to hear. Thank you. Carrie is the mod father. Okay, that was a good one. You must be a dad with your puns and your dad jokes. False prophets everywhere. The end is near, YT said. Yeah, my name is Lydia, Vicky. I agree, Volkswagen. I agree. I think that there's so many signs of the end of times. Even though I don't consider myself a Christian, I think that there's so many lessons in truth in the Bible, like for sure. And it's like, it might still be after we are all gone, but it's definitely the end of times, in my opinion. Okay, so the mod father. Yeah, that no, that really is a really good one. We're in the quickening, Jay Hardy said. Yeah, there was a creator. I used to love her lives, and she made one that was talking about the 3 days of darkness. And I've always wanted to go and like read the exact scripture she was talking about, whereas, when certain things start to happen, you like close your windows up, you get all your farm animals closed up to give them all the food they need or whatever. Like you can't look outside. And it sounded like probably sound Old Testament. That sounds like the Old Testament, right? Like anybody know what I'm talking about and where that scripture would be found? And it was really sad because that woman, she disappeared from YouTube for a year, and then when she came back on, it was apparent that she's addicted. And I really hope that she finds herself in recovery soon because she's such a smart person, and she was so good at, like, doing what I'm doing right now, only better. But she would screen share too, and I wanna say this again for anybody that doesn't know, my goal is to, by the end of the year, have a computer set up so I'm, like, screen sharing with you guys so we can look at videos and articles or whatever together, especially, like, when I did the cost of living, we need people that don't get it, they need to be shown, like, a bunch of different graphs, they need to be shown the same thing in different ways to finally get it through their heads that, like, this is unsustainable and, like, you have anything going on. Um, the people that don't understand why people are becoming destitute more and more, they're just so blessed themselves, and I look at them as kind of gullible, naive children in a way, even if they're 50, 60, 70 years old. Like, you must be as naive as a child. And in a way, I'm jealous. I'm envious of a person that can look past all the bad things going on and just think that, like, it's all everybody else's fault. Time is definitely moving faster, though, Jay Hardy said. I agree with that, Jay Hardy. Totally. And my children said that, and they were younger. They were like 12, 13 years old, because I know people would say, well, the older you get, time goes by faster, which I do agree with that. But I mean, like, what, in the last 5 years, especially, it's like time goes by so much significantly faster. Misha, I talk about all sorts of things. Lately, I've been going live and I talk about various topics. I'm like really all over the place, honestly. And I am a centrist, so I really do see both sides of most things. I welcome everybody as long as they're respectful, and I don't expect anybody to agree with me on everything. But yes, I share a lot of opinions, and I know that's not everybody's cup of tea. But if you can tolerate somebody that doesn't think 100% like you, I think that we do have a lot of fun conversations here. Bushneck. The world will end soon. It's a sign. Do you have a channel? That looks like you have a channel. Anybody that has a small channel and wants to get some subs, like, please share. I'd expect. I don't know if you can comment now. Like, if you can comment in the comment section, probably not. I don't know if there is a comment section. I'm not talking about the chat. I'm talking about, like, the comment section that will stay, like, on a YouTube video. I would appreciate anybody that has a small channel that specifically wants me to follow back to comment in a comment section on one of my videos, because often I don't get to follow the people in the chat. Like the song says, the future is never certain and the end is always near. Keep your eyes on the road and your hands up on the wheel. Doors. Oh, what door song is that? I can't think of it. I can't think of the melody. Hi, Randy. How are you? Hi, Kay. We're pretty much done talking about the subject, but I definitely intend on making more videos such as about Kentucky. I'm sure we'll have more about Kentucky legends, meaning true stories. I know I put true legends, I'm a dork. And then we'll have like cryptid stories, ghost haunting stories. I'm really excited. Our best moderator, I shouldn't be playing favoritism here, but Mr. Carey, he's like in the chat a lot. Um, his Cash App is up on the screen. Anybody that can donate to it, we'd really appreciate it. Him and his family are in need right now, and maybe we'll, have another live that's like more focused on that soon. I need to read the email you wrote me as I had those questions for you. But I'm gonna keep, promoting his Cash App, so anybody that like thinks maybe in a few days or whatever, like, we'll keep hanging it up. Lydia, have you ever considered teaching possibly literature? Mark said. Oh, that's so nice, Mark. I have. I homeschooled, I home educated our two older sons, and I definitely have considered going into education. But honestly, I feel like I wouldn't have the patience now. But they need teachers so desperately, and that is something I've heavily considered. I would be third generation educator if I did that because I had a parents and grandparents who were educators. I've been married for 15 years, Jonathan, so yes. Thank you, Randall, that's really nice. Please help donate to find like a time before TV and a time after. There's time before AI and after. Oh, right, Jay Hardy. Oh my gosh, it's so true. Like, I love really old things. Like YouTube, there's so many resources for like people that were born in the 1800s and interviewed like in the early 1900s on film, and it's so amazing. the way people spoke, and I mean this as myself included. I feel like I'm dumbed down. Like I could and would be smarter if I wasn't in this environment myself. I can't pay attention to a book the way that I used to be able to, like to actually read and process all the things I'm reading. And um when you see people, they spoke so eloquently. Like they just all sounded like they have like, university degrees and it's such a shame what we've become. And this started taking place, yeah, the TV for sure. Oh, I'm sorry, Catherine. I don't have any good tips. I have a friend or a relative who's really good at soccer. I know that's really tough. I myself wasn't into sports. I did track like one season. I didn't even finish this season. I'm gonna send you what I saw today. You'll dig it, Yoder said. Yes. People spoke different in the 1800s. They also addressed people as Mr. and Mrs. Sir, ma'am. They used to call that pleasantries. Yes, Billy. I still love to call people sir and ma'am and say pardon and excuse me. But yeah, I know that people, yeah, the way that we interact with each other, it's like there's no community, but that's what I love about Kentucky so much. It really is different. And when my son and I were in Cave City, it's just so cute to me. He was born in the 2000s, and I was like, I love it. It's so cozy and homey here. And he's like, yeah, it's like we're back in the 1990s. You never even were there. Like, he was right though, because it is. And so if you want to go somewhere where you feel like you're in the 1990s, I highly suggest Cave City, Kentucky. And it's called Cave City because there's like a dozen caves around there. Mammoth Cave is nearby. The only national park cave. And some people would say the only one worth going to. Like I wouldn't say that, but some people do. Television, propaganda machine. Yes, for sure. I agree with that. Mark Massar, I have a YouTube channel. I perform music. Can I sing? Okay, I'm gonna take a screenshot of that and hopefully I'll be able to find you because often when I do that, I can't find people's channels when I type in, just the title of the channel. Prayers are appreciated, Mr. Carey said. You're welcome. I'm sorry for what you're going through. I am praying for you, Catherine said. Oh, goodness gracious. I hope I didn't just block somebody. Um, just now I saw a live view saying hell will descend on earth, so I asked power from God from alternate world. Did I do something wrong? I've never went and just like surfed on other people's lives. I ought to do that sometime, because apparently like it is a thing a lot of people do, and I think that it would be fun. My hair. I washed my hair right before I came on here, and I think it would have been better if I just let it dry. Because it's funny, my hair has this in between where it looks good until it dries all the way, and then it looks awful. And then I look like a poodle, and you guys could like see it in real time. Like one time I went to work with my hair damp, and I'm not saying this to be conceited because, like I said, it looks like shit once it's done drying. Everybody was like, "Oh, look at your hair. Your hair's so pretty," because it starts to wave at first, and then once it's completely dry, I look like a frizzy mess. But anyways, it's not about my hair. I used to ship racehorses to Louisville, Kentucky. Kentucky is a beautiful state. It really is, Billy. I was born in Louisville, and all of Kentucky is special. But like the knobs of Kentucky start in Louisville and go like down to Bardstown and kind of like across to Lexington. Those are beautiful. Like there's no like set definition of what makes a hill a mountain. Like when a hill becomes a mountain as far as like slope, elevation. I thought that was really interesting because once I like called something mountains, of course, my mom had to correct me. She's like, those aren't mountains. Those are hills. And I'm like, what makes a hill a mountain, And like you think they would have had that defined, right? But yeah, so anything, yeah, if it's like I probably consider a lot of what people would consider foothills mountains, but that's what they are. They're the foothills of the mountains. And yeah, extra beautiful in my opinion, anywhere around the mountains. Um, the Corvette plant. The Corvette Museum is in Cave City, I believe, Jay Hardy. There's a lot of, auto plants. I believe the only place they, like, build cars here in Kentucky is at the Ford plant? I'm probably wrong, there's probably other places, but, like, we make several, like, hundreds kinds of car parts, at our factory, and there's a lot of auto manufacturing, fortunately. It's one of the best industries, and, as much as I think cars are overpriced. Hi, 717-680. It's like I'm talking to a prisoner. Um, yeah, as much I wouldn't buy a brand new car. I couldn't afford to, but even if I could, I wouldn't have the pride. I'd have too much pride to do it, but, like, it is nice working in that industry, I guess. It's unfortunate. Mountains are so beautiful for so many reasons, though, and I think it's really interesting, like, the weather, how weather can be different, like, on one side or another, and there's so much variation. I would never wanna go back to somewhere that's just, like, really, like, plain and flat, and there can be beauty in that, so and apparently a lot of states that, like, I mistook to be really flat and plain, like, Kansas and up there, like, they have more hills and more going on than people give them credit for. So, I don't mean to make it sound like Kentucky is the only place with, like, beautiful hills, because I know it's not. Come to the Ozarks. I would love to, Cat Frog. I would love to visit that. There. I have never been to England. The only place I've been to outside of our country was, the Bahamas twice. Yes, when I was 15, my grandparents were in Tennessee and Kentucky, and there was a few tobacco fields but not many. Yeah, I've only seen a few since I moved here. Like, when I was growing up, there was a lot more like, before the age of 8, there was a lot of tobacco, even in Indiana, right? But, here, it's, like, kinda special to see it. I like it. It's just, like even though I know it's not great for people to smoke cigarettes, to see anything other than corn and soy being grown, it makes me happy. I'm headed out to the Smokies this weekend. Love Gatlinburg. That's nice, Desiree. That's really nice. I've never been there. I would love to go there. I have never been to any mountain tops. No. I love hiking, but I have a fear of heights. Like, to climb something super steep would make me nervous. And I've brought up Clifty Falls, Indiana before. Like, there's a lot of steep elevation there, and there's like this, oh, I can't go to like the railing of the edge. Like, oh, um, I wish everyone the best. No one should have to go through what you are going through, Catherine said. Right. And hopefully, I have no idea what I'm making, and apparently, like, they said it takes 2 weeks for your app to show what you're gonna make, like, in your YouTube studio once you get monetized, but it's still saying I'm making, like, almost nothing, which I don't think is true, so let's hope I make some good money, but, like, I, yeah, because I would definitely like to donate to Mr. Carey. You look just like my sister. She in jail because she didn't allow her to record her rap video instead of a school, so she poisoned a couple kids? Her days are numbered? If you're for real, Gara, I'm sorry to hear that. That sounds like she's got some issues. That's if that really happened. Wow, stop. Okay. Cades Cove is a you better go place. Cades Cove. Okay. I think I've heard of that before. Where is that exactly, Yoder? That's in Kentucky. Look at my one white hair sticking out. No. There's so many places. There's this place, it's a few hours north. It's like just far enough away that I haven't made it there yet, but it's the cutest little chapel that somebody put together. It's like an old chapel that they restored, but it's not in use. It's free for the public. I can't stress it enough. Like, anything free. I have a list of free stuff that I was determined to do by the end of the summer, but of course, I think I wrote that down before I got my surgery. Hi, Keith fan. Thanks for coming in here again. How are you? You're right near me. I'm in Lynchburg, Desiree said. Okay, Cades Cove is in Tennessee. Okay, I knew I have heard of that before. Um, I need to upload. I know I said I wasn't going to. I'm going to make a really short video about Abraham Lincoln's birthplace. We went to a week or so ago, and there was one place right by the building that has the log cabin that he wasn't born in. For years, I thought this was a log cabin he was born in, and they built this like really nice palatial structure around this log cabin to keep it safe. And it turns out that wasn't what he was born in. But anyways, there's the spot right next to it is Sinking Springs, and it's so neat. And like, oh my gosh, one day we will own spring-fed water. I just think that's so special. And it says this is where Abraham Lincoln took his first drink of water. And it's like, I'll show it in the video. It's really neat. There's like a bunch of stairs you go down. As soon as you start going down, you feel the cold air rushing. Oh, I love caves. I love everything about Kentucky. So I've been on here an hour. I want to reiterate anybody like in, this goes for later too. If you feel like you could help somebody out, Mr. Carey and his family could really use the help. The Cash App is the $ KARRY 76. That's the number 76. So it's like Carey 76. I just want to say that in case anybody's listening to it. But like, um, we're going to keep supporting Mr. Carey any way that we can. And I hope everybody has a great week. Yoder said I don't dwell there, but my family was there. The water, I enjoy that stuff too, or dirt as well. Have you ever got a chance to go to Grantsville, Maryland, to Frostburg? It's such a beautiful place. No, but I would love to go to New England one day. That's the only regret I have about not having more of a disposable income. I mean that with all my heart. Like, of course, I'd like nicer things. Of course, I'd probably buy some more things if I had the money, but I genuinely am not any happier without any of the things that I would buy. I have a 12-year-old car with over I love so much. Like, I really don't want to get another car until I have to. Like, I'd probably put a new motor. I'd probably put too much money into that car because I love it so much because I'm like sentimental with my stuff. Like, the one thing I would like to have money for is to travel, and that would be like in our country, right? Like, I think most of us are in the same boat, right? Most of us can't afford family vacations. We can barely afford our bills, let alone to go on a vacation. And it used to be something like when we first started our family, it was easy to do and a weekend getaway. And now it's impossible. It has to be something, the only reason we spend the night in a hotel is because like somebody has a medical appointment out of town or something like that. But anyways, I hope everybody has a great night. I really appreciate everybody that listens to my lives all the way through. That helps so much. And I don't think I'm going to get back on here tonight. Like, if I can't go to sleep, I might, but I do go to work Tuesday through Friday. So I will see you guys again Friday. Um, we appreciate you too, Catherine. Mr. Carey, I am going to go read your email right now. And Mr. Carey, I'm sorry I'm broke for now, but will help as much as I can. I got denied for surgery claim in the mail. Viewed me. We adore you, Lydia. Oh, Yoda. Oh, thank you, Frosty Cupcake, for coming. And egg. Well, egg. We have chickens, so we get lots of eggs. Oh, good night, Alan. And good night, Jay Hardy. It was nice talking to you. I hope everybody has a great week. I know the week already started. To me, it's like just getting ready